Now that you have your project laid out, keep the last section free so I can show you how to do a loop. If your footage is all scattered like this, all you want to do is click on that clip, go to the left side of the composition, and drag it down in order of ascending. I like to do this because it keeps things organized and I can see my workflow better. The next thing we're going to learn now is stabilization and framing your footage properly. So let's preview this and then we can see what we need to fix. Now that we see all the footage, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. Let's leave this first clip alone since we're going to be looping it and doing more work on it later. So this clip right here needs some framing, needs some rotation, and it needs some stabilization, which a lot of these other clips need as well. First thing we're going to do is stabilize our footage. To do that, we're going to click on our footage, right click, track and stabilize, warp stabilizer. Over here is where all the settings are. You won't need to know any of this yet. All you need to know now is smoothness. I like to keep my smoothness between 5 and 25. The smoother your footage is, the higher I would go to 25. The more rough your footage is, I would keep it lower or else it's going to be a lot of warping. So for this clip, we're going to go with 15. And you can always adjust this later, just let it analyze first. If your clip ever freezes when it's analyzing, you need to save your project and restart After Effects. Or you might need to empty your disk cache because it's full. Don't forget, let's save our project. Save your project as much as you can, especially when you do something you like, because you never know when a software could crash. Now that it's stabilized, let's see what it looks like. It's a lot better now. I think we can up this to 20. Now that our footage is stabilized, we got to do some rotation and framing to get this right in the center. So go to the beginning of your clip by holding shift and dragging your cursor. Go over here, click on this arrow, and go to transform. Here is all your transform values. These are probably the most used things you will use for every video that you make. Let's go through it real quick. Anchor point and position do the same things. I prefer anchor point, and here's why. When you move anchor point, you can see the center dot stays in the middle. That's your center point. When you move position, your center point moves as well. That's why I prefer anchor point over position, but it's up to you and it's based on what you're going for. Scale is to zoom in and zoom out. Rotation is to rotate. This first number right here is your revolutions, how many times it does a full rotation. You won't need this and you'll rarely use this. Opacity is the levels of your opacity. 100% for full, 0 for nothing. This is good for doing fade-ins or slight transitions. So now that you know what these values do, let's zoom in on our footage so we can get this framed. This one's very noticeable to see how the rotation's off, but if you can't see it, go right here and go to proportional grid. Now you can line it up with the center line. And as you can see, this headlight is a little lower than this headlight. So let's adjust these rotation values. To adjust them precisely, click on the number and select the number you want to choose it to. Now that your clip's more leveled, let's look at the whole thing. Disable the proportional grid. As you can see on the sides right here, it's not fully in frame, so we're going to need to adjust our scale. You know your image is in frame when you can see these lines right here. Before we start framing each clip, I want to teach you keyframes so you can save a lot more time.